Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Cynthia Stubner, Defense Director and Industry Principal at Pegasystems. How are you, Cynthia?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
You know, when you think of this phrase called no code, there's all kinds of different approaches to it. Maybe you can just start off with defining what no code's all about for us.
Sure. No code principally is the idea that you can use an interface with drag and drop tools that essentially write the software for you. So there's no coding required. And in fact, what we find is that with the tools and what we call a little bit of a wizard, dragging and dropping is the way that you build software where users and coders can work together and take a look at exactly what they're trying to accomplish from start to finish.
So if we were just to walk up to someone in the street and talk about this no code, they may have some kind of a concept of repositories of libraries where developers just grab code and cut and paste it in. Is that what no code is?
In a rough sense, I would say yes, it is. In fact, with the drag and drop tools that Pega uses, you can define exactly what kind of process you're looking at from start to finish, move those interfaces and interchanges around, and actually develop a process, develop an entire application from start to finish without ever touching the underlying code beneath it.
And so Pegasystems would provide a framework or a platform for this no-code approach.
Correct.
You know, it's amazing. I went to your Twitter feed this morning from Pegasystems, and I saw applications for medical, for automobile, for insurance, for agriculture, for desktop usage, for user interface improvement. It seems to be a very flexible tool.
It's an absolutely flexible tool. It's incredible how some of our customers have used our platform and our applications to make all kinds of adjustments and improvements around their entire legacy system environment.
So is there a limit to the type of apps you can use or maybe how it scales?
No. In fact, Pega is one of the leading no-code platforms from a scalability standpoint. We are supporting the U.S. 2020 census, which is going to be touching up to 137 million households. And the great thing about our no-code platform is that, unlike a lot of our competition, when you take the no-code platform and work within those tools and systems, you can integrate into all different kinds of legacy systems that run and process transactions at fractions of a second.
I like to tell people that they shouldn't major in the minors. They shouldn't worry about the details. And when I went to your website this morning, the three words I noted down was design thinking. So it's a design thinking approach to be flexible and still be adaptable.
Right, exactly. And so what we've tried to do is really focus on looking at things from an outcome perspective. Part of what design thinking is all about. What are you trying to accomplish and what is the outcome you hope to achieve? And then you take a look at how to best define that process in order to achieve that outcome.
You know, in information technology, there's buzzwords and the phrase of the day and all kinds of things that pop up. And currently what's trending now is artificial intelligence and AI. But I get the suspicion that this no-code platform is also trending, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is one of the latest, I'll say, buzzwords, for lack of a better description, in the technology industry today.
So how does this fit in with proprietary software and open source software? And does it box out certain applications for the end user?
In fact, it does the exact opposite. For the Pega platform, we can integrate with just about any environment that you have out there and provide an overarching layer that helps to modernize by reaching into the legacy systems, pulling out the appropriate data and the interfaces that you need to create in order to expand beyond one siloed set of data and across an entire system to touch processes and integrate those processes across the system. And then on top of that, what it does is as your systems become old and outdated and you want to deprecate those, you can deprecate those underneath without touching the overarching Pega platform.
And that's a key consideration, a layered approach that allows you to be flexible not only today but also for systems proposed in the future.
Absolutely. We talk about build for the future and future-proof your systems. And really what we're talking about there is providing the flexibility to the underlying environment so that as things change, as processes change, as desires, as regulations change, you can leverage your Pega platform to adopt to those interchanges and also bringing in new software, new legacy systems as your organization warrants.
Well, you're here in Washington, D.C. If you go across the river, there's this thing called the Pentagon there, and they get millions of attacks every day. So what about security in Pegasystems?
One of the nice things about Pegasystems is that we can operate within your existing IT environment. So we can adopt and adhere to all of the existing IT security requirements that you have. We have been, excuse me, as I said, we have been working with lots of government organizations over the years. And one of the things we found is that regulations, especially security rules and requirements, change for different organizations, change for different countries. And so we have a platform that can operate within that environment and adjust to your security requirements as necessary. We can also offer what we call cloud choice, where if you choose to use that legacy system and integrate with the Pega system outside of your environment, we can support that from a security standpoint as well.
You know, if we go to the Wayback Machine, go back 5 years, the trending term was cloud and cloud on-premise. And so many people are thinking, well is Pega going to limit us to the cloud or how does that work?
No, in fact, as I just mentioned, Pega chooses to be as flexible as possible, and we have what we call cloud choice. So if you want to build your first application, your first set of applications within the Pega platform on-premise, we're happy to do that and happy to make that work for you. And then if you choose to migrate to the cloud at a later date, you can absolutely do that within the Pega environment and the Pega platform. If you want to go cloud first, you can certainly do cloud first. And we have either on your cloud or our cloud, you can deploy either way.
Let's reflect back on this concept of design thinking, a design thinking approach. In the commercial world, the objective is profit. We know that. Now, for a federal agency, the objective may be reaching the agency's goals for that year. So can this systematic approach actually assist in agencies reaching their goals?
Absolutely. Our idea is to help you sit down with your entire business user community, your stakeholder community, and try to understand what is your specific mission, what is the agency trying to accomplish, whether it has to do with producing financial information, whether it involves procurement information, supply chain, whatever the case may be, and really map out that process accordingly. Because in the end, regardless of whether you're a commercial entity or you're a government, processes are processes. And the whole point is to try to develop those processes to get to an end result that you're trying to achieve. And that's what Pega software is really the best in the industry at doing.
In the early days of the internet, there was a phrase called being platform agnostic, and it was a real powerful phrase, and that's how a lot of open source got in. And so it looks like your platform can allow for deployment of that concept of being platform. Oh, I don't care what open source, fine. Proprietary, fine. We allow you to use whatever you choose.
Absolutely. Again, our whole goal here is to be as flexible as possible to enable you to future-proof your environment using our platform.
So by future-proofing, what you mean is that your existing system is built in and designed for expectations of future change. For example, there may be IoT devices or sensors unthought of today that could be important in 3 years for a large federal system.
Absolutely. What we try to accomplish within Pega is to think about today as well as the future. And so really, when you look at considering what your automation is, automation for the sake of automation doesn't really solve a problem. Automating an existing process that doesn't achieve the intended outcome isn't really solving a problem. What we're focused on is taking a look at what you're trying to achieve, what you want to accomplish today, but also make sure that there's a flexibility there for the future. We support the GM OnStar program, and that's an existing environment in which more than 3,000 different sensors, I believe, are pulled into that platform for GM. And the Pega software is what powers the predictive maintenance to go ahead and identify when there might be a problem and then who's available to help you solve that problem. That's just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger over time.
My guest today is Cynthia Stubner, Defense Director and Industry Principal, Pega Systems. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, on the discussion, Modernizing Today's Federal IT to Increase Productivity and Reduce Cost, sponsored by Pega on Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network.